How bad did it hurt? Did it hurt? What was the pain like? Mine moves all the time. The needle goes out and then the jewelry has to come in. I feel everything at once and it really freaked me out. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, I'm Isis and it's great to meet you. So, you probably saw from the title, we have a very exciting video today. I've been waiting to make this video for a very long time and it's finally that time. Today we're going to be talking about my belly button piercing. I'm going to go ahead and share my experience as well as answering some questions and offering my advice because my opinions are better than everyone else's and you should only listen to me. I actually vlogged the day that I got my belly button piercing, so if you wanted to see that, you can go ahead and check that out. It all happens in front of you. You can see the needle go in me. Kind of gross, but kind of cool. That was a while ago. I'm all pierced now. I'm all good. So the story behind why I did it is I really like the early 2000s, and a lot of the icons of the early 2000s had a belly button piercing, and this little voice inside my head said, Isis, I need you to do that because you're gonna look so cool if you do. After that, I just kept thinking about it. I couldn't shake the feeling and I finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm not a rebellious person at all. At that point in time, I only had my ears pierced and I don't want a tattoo. I can barely drink a sparkling water without saying that the bubbles are too painful for me, but I gathered up the courage to make that appointment, and on December 16th, I showed up with my grandma and I got the sucker pierced. And 6 months later, I still have it, and I am so happy I went through with doing it. And I know what you're all thinking. I need to see the belly button. Well, girl, I got you. I'll show you. Stand up. All right. So here she is. She's a little red because my pants are high-waisted. I went for a gold base and then like just a nice shimmery gem on either side. But I love her and I'm so excited to tell you everything about her. Last week I asked my Instagram followers if they had any questions about my piercing or the process, and we're gonna be answering them right now. How painful was it? My mom got hers pierced years ago and said it was excruciating. Whenever people ask me about the piercing, they always go straight to how bad did it hurt? Did it hurt? What was the pain like? And I am an extremely squeamish person. I hate getting shots. I hate needles. But here's the odd thing. I would say that the overall pain for getting your belly button pierced, in my opinion, is a 4 out of 10. I know, shocker. It was so fast and it hurt for a second, but then by the time I processed the pain, it was already done. For me, it felt just a tiny bit worse than a shot. But again, everybody is different. Everyone has their own pain tolerances. After the needle goes through you, the needle goes out, and then the jewelry has to come in, and then they have to sanitize the area. So it's not just a one and done type thing. That was what really got me. It wasn't painful. It was just like, what is happening? It was a very unique feeling that I'd never felt before. And it took me a while to process it. All right, so let's go ahead and take that needle out. Is that a needle? Wait, no, it's the piercing. Okay, there's metal in me. There's metal in me. Okay, we're almost done. So weird. Oh my god, this is my life now? What is the meaning of life? I can't deal with this. Are you doing all right? Yeah. Once my piercing was all complete, I got to stand up and look in the mirror. And honestly, like, I know this sounds really cheesy and overdramatic, but I didn't recognize myself. I was like, whose belly button is that? Like, what the heck? And instantly I was like, this is so cool. I'm so happy I did this. And I was in a great mood for the rest of the day. And even my grandma, who was very much so on the fence of the whole process happening,
it's a waste,
ended up being on my side and loving it when it was all said and done. Was it a difficult process, and how was the recovery time? So as I just covered, the actual piercing process wasn't too bad. It seems scarier than it actually is, but recovery is totally different, and technically I'm still in recovery. I remember when I was leaving, my piercer gave me a list of like average recovery times for each piercing, and at the very bottom of the list was navel piercings, which take 12 months on average. My estimated recovery date is December 26th, so a year and 10 days after. Merry Christmas! Here are my recovery guidelines for the next year, but I will say the first few months, this stuff is a little bit more sensitive and there's a little bit more leeway now. However, you still have to follow it to some extent. No changing the jewelry. I have to stick with the jewelry that I chose for the next year, which I'm totally fine with. If I wanted to change the jewelry or if I wanted to take it out, I'm supposed to go back to the piercer and he'll take it out for me and he'll be able to do it properly, just so there's no risk of me damaging it. No swimming for the first few months, and if you have to swim for whatever reason, I don't know, a situation where you suddenly find yourself swimming, clean it as soon as you can. You don't want any other random bacteria getting in there. You're gonna want to let that area breathe as much as possible, which really means don't wear anything too constricting or that's gonna put a lot of pressure on your belly button. This is one of the things that there's a little bit more leeway now that I know my own comfort with my belly button piercing. I really love the idea of getting this piercing, but how am I gonna wear high-rise clothing? I was so worried about it, but it is possible. For the first chunk of time, absolutely not. I had to roll my pants down because all of my pants are super high-rise, but over time it healed more and now I can wear high-rise things again. If it's too high-rise or too snug in that area, then my piercing will get irritated. If I move around, I'll be able to feel it. The next guideline, which is extremely important and also extremely simple, don't touch it. Don't play with it. Don't fiddle with it. It's not worth it. Your hands carry a lot of bacteria, and when you touch it, you're transferring unnecessary bacteria to it, and it could get infected. And on the topic of infection, the last guideline is keep your area clean. I was told to try to clean my piercing twice a day, and I was pretty good about that for the first 3 months. You know, I'd wake up in the morning and be really, really crusty, even a little bit bloody. Now I just clean it once a day. I don't need that extra cleaning because it's healed so much and it's doing so much better than it used to. But to be extra safe, I make sure to clean it at nighttime, usually when I get out of the shower or just I'm ending my day or something. And this is how I do it. I'm about to clean my belly button now. I always do this at the very end of the day, usually like when I take my makeup off, brush my teeth, floss, all that stuff. So the first thing that I use is a Q-tip because I'm able to really maneuver this little wand around in there and get all the crevices to make sure there's no area that isn't clean. And the next thing I use is wound wash. Now this is, I just ran out of this, funny enough. This is the original thing of wound wash that my piercer gave me, and I just got a new one, which is the Arm & Hammer brand. But to clean it, you're gonna want something that is just like salt water, no chemicals, no soaps, nothing super artificial, very basic, so there's going to be no excess irritation. I take a Q-tip and take this and just spray one end of it. A little bit of excess came off, but that's all right. And then there's my belly button. Again, it's still going to be healing for a year, so there's definitely times when, not to get gross or anything, but you know, there's gonna be a little bit of blood there. There's gonna be a little bit of crust there. That's natural, that happens, but we need to clean that every day to make sure there's no infections, no issues. Take this, mine likes to move up, so I just like press it down and make sure it's sticking out all the way. And make sure you wash your hands before you touch it because you don't wanna spread anything to it. And just make sure you're able to rub every area. Make sure you rub the actual jewelry piece as well. And once you rub your solution all over the piercing, flip it around to the other side, the dry side, and you just dry it off because you don't want any moisture inside your belly button because then bacteria can grow and lead to weird infections and stuff. And yeah, now I'm done. That's how I clean my belly button. Did it ever get affected, and how did you treat it? Affected, absolutely, from wearing, you know, tighter clothes or getting it caught on something, which is the worst feeling in the world. Infected, if that's what you actually meant. I've actually never gotten an infection. I don't want to jinx myself, but I have not. I've been really good about cleaning stuff. Anytime that it is irritated, I make sure to take all precautions to make sure that it's not going to spread into something nasty. I don't play with it. I don't put any, you know, crazy products on it. I just leave it alone. When it's time to show it off, I'll show it off. But for the most part, she stays pretty hidden. She's a little modest. Does it hurt when you do sit-ups? I know it sounds dumb, but I'm so curious. First of all, I do not think it's a dumb question, and second of all, it doesn't hurt when I do sit-ups. I imagine that in my earlier stages it probably would have hurt, but as long as you're wearing athletic gear, that's not going to compress it to an uncomfortable degree or irritate it in any way. You should be fine. The jewelry itself is designed to move with you. Mine moves all the time. One of the big things I learned about getting my belly button pierced actually is that not everyone can get it. It depends on the shape of your belly button. Technically, my appointment for my piercing was a consultation to see if I could get it done, but we just got it done in one day. My belly button had space for it. There was no issue putting it in. However, I do have a little bit more skin at the bottom of my belly button, so oftentimes the big gem will push up the smaller gem, you can see like the rod that's supposed to be inside more. Funny enough, the times that it hurt the most were when I was just sitting there. I could be sitting on the couch, I could be driving in the car, and then all of a sudden this memory would come back to me of, you were stabbed by a giant needle and now you have a piece of metal in you. When that happened, I could feel everything at once and it really freaked me out, but luckily I stopped doing that and now I'm just used to it. Did it make you feel like Britney Spears? Obviously it made me feel like Britney Spears. The last thing I want to say about belly button piercings is if you are thinking of getting it done, I would just say go for it. Again, the pain is super short. You're gonna look super cool when it's all done. It's also a really easy piercing to keep modest because unless you're wearing crop tops all the time, for the most part, your stomach's gonna be covered. No one's gonna see it. It'll be your fun little secret. If it's something you don't end up liking, you can always go back to your piercer and they can take it out. And you've got a year. You've got a year of healing time to make that decision. I don't know. Think about it. But that is going to be it for my belly button 6-month update video. Please feel free to comment down below if I missed anything or you have any questions, and I'll do my best to reply to all of you. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you absolutely hated it and you think all of my advice is worthless. Be sure to subscribe for more videos that I make in the future, and I will see you all next time. But before we go, I hope you all have a magical day.